So welcome. Thanks for joining the second webinar, and it's part of the routine that we're starting up. So we've got a couple of things to go over tonight or this morning, depending on the time zone you're in, and which is just a brief check-in on where we're at, what we're doing. We'll be showing you around the new portal that will be available in the coming weeks, and talk you over the new functionality and things that have been asked by the community for a long time, which look like simple things and now are simple things. We'll briefly go over some backward compatibility of report layouts, a couple of other things, and then a switch to our new invoicing system that we'll be using to make it easier for everybody to work with us with all sorts of credit cards and reduce a bit of hassle. So if that's okay, we would like to do we'd like to start the webinar, and by doing so, by briefly doing a check-in. So Martijn.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy that we're doing this. We've been doing a lot of work in the background and underneath the bonnet, so I'm happy that it's about to be revealed.
Yeah,
I'm excited about that. And other than that, I'm at the moment very busy in my own organizational development practice and doing lots of work with clients on the basis of structural dynamics, and I continue to enjoy doing that. Also bridging it with a couple of other concepts that we might have time to talk about a little later on.
So. And so me too, it's been quite a ride to migrate things to newer and more modern platforms. With change comes some feedback. So we've been receiving quite some feedback on new report outlines. So thanks to all who have provided us with feedback. Keep on doing that. We really appreciate that. And I just feel excited to show what the look and feel of the new portal, and especially a bit of functionality that we've been adding. So yes, I think it's time to go over the new portal, but not before I briefly give you a voice in this meeting. So I'll unmute the account of Tom. Sorry, I'm not aware.
Hi.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Hi, this is Samantha Collins. I work with Tom O'Connor. We are based out of Salem, Oregon, and we really enjoy using the Kantor tool. We work in the area of corrections primarily with management teams, and we find great value in helping teams with their adaptive leadership using Kantor structural dynamics. So we thank you for that, and I'm just interested to learn today.
Great, thank you. Jane, I'll briefly give you a voice in the room, if it's possible.
Hello?
Yeah, there you are.
Hello?
Yeah, Jane?
Oh.
Yeah.
It dropped out for a minute, so now I can hear you again.
Perfect. So we were just welcoming you in the room, so just to give you some, allow you a moment to just briefly say something in the check-in.
Oh, sure, yes. So my name is Jane Wheeler. I am Senior Director of Business Development and Communication for the development arm of Johns Hopkins Medicine, which, for those of you who are international, what all is a very large academic medical center in the U.S. And I've been using structural dynamics to work with individuals and teams that serve the various different departments, things like cancer, pediatrics, orthopedics. And we have been holding back a bit because some of the things that would be most useful for team training are forthcoming. So I'm very excited about the directions.
Oh, great. Thank you. And Jane, appreciate it for all your feedback. I just wanted to voice that. I'll put you on mute again. So Scott?
Hi, Scott Chambers. You may get from the accent, based in the UK. I've been working with structural dynamics for a couple of years. I'm the founder and principal consultant and leadership for 3GHR here in the UK, working across Europe and the US. So I'm keen to learn.
Great. And we have another one on the call.
B. Cutcliffe.
Yes. Yes, there you are.
Yeah, excellent. So, of ourselves.
Yes.
Excellent. So, I currently work for a company called Select Medical that operates long-term acute care hospitals throughout the nation, as well as several other divisions in post-acute care. And I use this structural dynamics, got interested in it and started using it to help leadership teams work within that. I work on the operations side of the division. And so I work a lot with department leaders and heads, as we heard previously in the call, at Johns Hopkins, but within my corporation doing the same thing, of working with department heads and employees of how to focus their communications in a more structured approach. And so I'm excited to learn a little bit more and continue to get advanced knowledge of this and use it in my practice.
Okay, great. Well, welcome all. Thanks for voicing in this call. Whenever there's something you want us to stop, I've muted everybody just for clarity in the recording, but whenever there's there, you can raise your hand or ask a question. Feel free to ask a question during what we're about to show and tell. For that extent, I'll be sharing the screen, and there it is. Show you the instrument portal, the new instrument portal. So the new instrument portal is a replacement of the old instrument portal, and to make more velocity in the development of it, it's a portal that we're using for multiple knowledge models. So one of the knowledge models is, for instance, the business of Ricardo Semler. One is of course Kantor, and as of recently also the work of Amy Edmondson for the Feelers organization is a client of the portal technology, and they all use the same logistics backend, but have different business rules, different knowledge models, and don't share any data amongst them. But that will increase the velocity at which we can improve the portal and improve the way it works, because there's a lot of similarity in the way we structure we structure the routing of questionnaires and presenting results, invoice, and all those things. So I'm going to briefly show you around what's there, and also show a couple of benefits. The first is the old way of working, which I think are things that you've been asking for to some extent directly in questions. Can I please do this, or indirectly by sending us support messages requesting us to do these things. So that's indirect feedback. So this would be the portal when you log in. When you log in, you have an overview of all your projects, and especially nice is the overview where you can just see all the projects that are currently going on. So there's one in my account which I'm currently doing inside our organization. That's active, it's a running project, and there's the due project. You can also manage your own basket of accounts. These are just your accounts, no more shared accounts amongst everybody or seeing too many. And we're working on a functionality where you can also share ownership of accounts with multiple practitioners, so that you can decide with whom you want to share what data, or with whom you want to share what project. That's all sort of part of the logistics roadmap to improve the portal. But for now, this really mimics the old portal with the benefit of having your own organization. So if I go to my projects, I can start and create a new project, which I will be doing in a moment. Or I can open a project that's currently running and see how things are going. So in this case, I'll start just by showing the project overview. So each project has a project overview. You can directly see the status, how many servers are completed, the status is open, when it was created, what the start date was, what the end date was. And we've already connected to team instruments. In this case, these are team instruments that don't have questions attached to it. So just the team overviews, and these will always be available, and we will not invoice for that as well anymore. So they're just the overview reports. And if you want to see the results of a team, you can just simply click on it and it will start a web interface showing you the interface of the results, in this case for a team view. And if you want, you can generate a PDF and download it. And even it would be possible to change language, because we've changed the language structure as well in this portal. So even people with different language backgrounds can use the same, can be in the same project and each do their own instrument in their own language. Languages available right now are English and Spanish and Dutch. That's because we're based in the Netherlands. But upon request, we can add new languages. This is quite expensive though, time consuming. So we need to look at the markets for those, but there's already Spanish, English and Dutch. Then I can go into the portal and I can into my project, and I can see all the people that participate. This is a test audience within our own company. And we've created some functionality that's been long desired for, which is that if I select somebody, I can delete the participant again, but only if the survey has not been completed. So unless the survey is completed, I can delete somebody. When a survey is completed, I can't delete somebody. But what I always can do, if somebody hasn't completed it, I can send a reminder. And that's actually a piece of functionality that we've made more personal and easier. So you can just select all the people that you want to send a reminder. And I prepared this so I can actually send reminders. And these reminders you can personalize really easily. So I push the send reminder. It'll present me with the email that will be sent out. Recognizable are the things that the instrument will add itself, sort of the survey link and the first name, last name. And of course I can add a warm regards to it, add my name, for instance, or I can change the copy of the text and I can send it. And now everybody in the project will get a reminder. So luckily there's also people that have already finished the report, and I can select those people and I can then send them the report. I can change it and I can add some text and I can send that. And then in this case, Eric has already received his report. So this is an improvement versus the way it's going right now. I can always add, as long as the project is open, I can add participants to the project, and I can export the whole batch to Excel if I want to just download everybody and, for instance, see all the links and all the settings myself. So that's the new project overview. I'm just checking if there's no questions. I think not. If so, I do not understand that interface well enough when sharing a screen. So just a quick, I'll give you all, I'll unmute you all and just briefly ask if until the new project overview is clear.
It's clear.
Yes, good. I will go on then. So there's, when I create a project, I can go to the projects. Again, I'll briefly mute again, because, oh, there it is, yeah. You've muted yourself, that's great. As a rule of thumb, if you want to intervene, unmute yourself and ask something that's easier than what I do right now. So you can create a new project. You can give it a name. I'll call this one webinar. Of course, I'm the practitioner. I can add it to a client organization, which will be the test organization in this case. I can choose to create a new organization. I can select the instrument that I want to use. And possibly, if I want, I can add a team instrument specifically for the team, for instance, with the team questions. And one of the innovations we're currently creating, and we're also thinking about creating that within Kantor, is optionally give the team a context so that people answer the questions in the right context. Because what happens a lot is that people are not thinking about the right context to answer questions. And this is an addition we've created in the case of the Fearless organization, but we're also thinking about creating that for Kantor for you to use, so that you can remind people in between questions about the context that the questionnaire is in. And in this case, it would be how you show up in this webinar. I will launch the project today and I'll close it in a week and create it. So now it's of course empty and I can start adding participants. I can easily add participants by using the new participants button. I can select existing participants that are already part of the organization that I'm sending this out to, or I can import participants. And in the future, we're looking at developments to synchronize. But if you have a large client, for instance, that would want to synchronize the portal to their people analytics or Active Directory, we're happy to have a conversation on plugins to synchronize this system to their, for instance, PeopleSoft or Microsoft Active Directory, to have so that you can choose people in the company and also data can be shared with other systems. So now I'll just, for the fun of it, create a new participant. Let's send it out to myself, myself first name, last name. I'll use my private email address. I'll add the preferred language. That preferred language is a language that the questionnaire opens in. However, if I, as a participant, want to answer the question in a different language, I can always choose to change it myself. The user is in control because we've totally synchronized all questions so that they're comparable in each language and we don't run different tests anymore. So I'll choose Dutch. I choose not to create another participant after creating this because I'm the only one in this case. I'll create it. And now there's one participant and I can go and set up the surveys. When I can now choose two things, which is also an innovation because we've had lots of requests to use links to share with participants. So you can just send your own email and have a link in your email that the participant can open. On the other hand, we can also send it for you. And we've improved the way the email editing works. And you can see a preview of the email so that you have an idea what this email will look like when the person gets this email in his or her inbox. So then there's another functionality that we've added. There's a timer which you can delay the sending, which also has a functionality that you can choose the time zone because we're aware that we're all over the world and you might have clients in another time zone, which is going to World Time Buddy and finding out what time zone you need to do something in. We've managed it for you. So if a project requests for you to send it out at a specific moment, we've had that at Harvard where just directly after a class, it was meant to be sent out. I had to be awake at night managing that back then, and now I could just schedule it for a time, do it in a relaxed way, and it will be sending out at that moment. The functionality is also still there that you can add a copy to yourself, either in the CC or in the BCC. If you're paranoid about us sending it, you can get a copy of everybody's email in your own web client, mail client. So then I go to the show overview. I just gives me a sort of heads up. I'm ready to go and launch. You're going to send this to one person. This person is called Sander Hoeken, which is me. In this case, it's psychological safety index that we're requesting. And then I can press finish and it'll send out. After it's been sent out, of course, the project is ready immediately. It's here. I see that there are no responses yet. But if I now go and do the instrument, which for the fun I will do. Just have to get the right inbox. Switch. I have to add my private email. Open that. And the email send out. I have an email here, and it will ask. It will give me a link. I can open it, and in the new look and feel, which is also more web friendly, it'll ask me to use the questionnaire. And because this is a 7-question questionnaire, I'll just briefly go ahead. I'll start. You can see that the how you show up in this webinar as a context is constantly shown. For purposes known, I will do this in English. So answer this question in the context of how you show up in this webinar. I strongly agree. And then how you show up in this webinar reminds me constantly of the way that the team that I need to think about when answering these questions. So there's question 2, and there's question 3. The answers, of course, will not make any sense right now, because I'll always say strongly agree. And now the questionnaire is completed. I'll go back to the report, to the overview. And you see that 1 out of 1 survey is completed. And I can also directly go and see what the report looks like. However, of course, I'm the only one, so it doesn't make any real sense. But this is my personal report. My personal report translated as team report, which is presented directly. And I can also go to me, and I can now send me the report, and I can go to the report and I can send me the report, and I cannot delete myself anymore because I've already completed the instrument. So basically that's the complete new look and feel. It's based on an entirely new set of code. It uses the same data, so you will be, when you're invited, you will be welcome to use it with the same credentials. You'll see all your data as you're used to, so there's no migrating or losing access to certain things, and you're allowed to use it, and then we'll terminate the old portal when things have stabilized and there's no feedback coming back. So this is that's the technology, and we're planning for the launch of the new portal in the beginning of November. Luckily, we're ironing out lots of small issues with the Fearless Organization Scan, because they're the first to use this new portal that we don't have to bother you with, and that has already gotten a lot of feedback and user feedback that's been incorporated. And as you could have seen, is that the performance of this view is way quicker because it's based on modern web technology. So we're really happy about that, because that will make your life easier as well. That was the introduction of the new portal. Just a moment to reflect on some feedback.
This is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
One question I had, and I think this was said at the last webinar we had, is there, when our projects are completed and we feel a need to remove the participants from the project or from the system completely, is there a process to do that in this new portal, or do we still have to email the help desk in order to do that?
And so you, after the data has run on the portal, you want to delete the existing data.
Yeah, if someone requests it to be removed from the system, or it's been now several years and there's no need to keep it for some reason, we feel the need to purge it.
That's still something you at this moment need to email our help desk for. However, it is on our backlog, and it's something that we'll be incorporating. As being in Europe, we have the GDPR, and so we completely align with that reason, and it has a rule called the rule to be forgotten, the right to be forgotten. And so you can just request for anything, and we'll delete it whole and full, and we'll get that feature in. There's a reason why it's a bit more difficult, because there is a delay between invoicing and sending out the reports. And so if we have this feature in, there's a risk that we somehow mess up invoicing because things have been deleted after they've been completed and we haven't seen them. So we need to disconnect the doing of a test and using the test data actually to generate invoices to a separate invoice table, which is some work, which is work that we're working on right now. So it will be a feature, and it's on our roadmap for introduction somewhere at the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
I'll just say, it's the first time I've seen this properly, so I'm very impressed. It looks like a big step forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott.
Hi, yes, I think it looks great as well. This is Samantha. So I have not seen the psychological safety index in the software that we use. We have the baseline instrument and the corresponding team instrument.
Maybe I can say a few words about that. We have been working separate from the Kantor Institute and community with Amy Edmondson, and what we've done is actually create a joint venture with her to bring the instrument that she has created based on her research of over almost 25 years now around psychological safety and teaming to organizations in a scalable way. Because up until now there was only a very simple Qualtrics thing that lets you take a full learning organization survey, and the idea behind this is that you could use this in organizations to measure psychological safety where it matters most, namely in an in-situ team. We've added some innovations to it because we also, based on her research, deconstructed the 4 domains that have the most impact on the psychological safety or the absence thereof, which are the things you saw around open conversation, attitude to risk and failure, willingness to help, and
Inclusion and diversity.
Inclusion and diversity.
But then the portal technology, because we wanted to be able to move faster, and thanks for the nice words about the new look and feel and the way it behaves. Just only doing this for Kantor would limit our ability to really innovate on the portals technology, especially with our roadmap to connect to, for instance, organizations, people analytics. And for that reason, we now have 3 clients, and we're looking at more that are using the same backend portal technology, so the administration portal, and each has their own knowledge structure. So in this case, Kantor will not be showing psychological safety instruments, but if you're interested, that's a separate conversation. We could of course help you or give you a presentation about that. The backend technology, so the portal technology, is all the same, and that allows for greater innovation power to move, and because it's a new instrument and new community, we wanted to iron out all the issues with people that are willing to go into a beta program without frustrating the practitioners with the Kantor portal that has had some numerous frustrations already in the past. So we were taking the safe route and developing and implementing it first on the psychological safety instrument to then be able to push it to the more seasoned community of practitioners of Kantor, because well, you have some new things will be changing, and the portal hasn't always been delivering an excellent experience. So we were wary about introducing it to a going concern versus a new venture that we do with Amy. So that's why we chose to first use it for the Fierce Organization Instrument, and now roll it out to Kantor as well, because it's compatible with Kantor.
Okay, great. So yeah, I think my question is simple. So I am familiar with, her research and her work. And so I would just like to learn more about, the path to be able to use that index.
Yeah, so there's if you send me an email, then I'm happy to jump on a call with you and tell you more about it, because I've been working on it as a practitioner for the last half year or so, and I think it's unbelievably complementary to the work around structural dynamics, and I think what it tends to do is it tends to objectify for a team where it is, because you can put a number to it, and I think that at least saves me an inordinate amount of evangelizing around bringing practices deriving from the space of dialogue or structural dynamics to clients, because there is a number, and that number is either not good or there is room for improvement, and then people say, so now what do we do?
And then
yes, this is great. Tom will be thrilled about this. We've just been talking about how to do this. We talk about psychological safety a lot with teams. So not to take us down a rabbit hole, but yes, I will send you an email.
But there's a reason why, because we were actually planning for the portal to be live right now for Kantor. That isn't the case because we've had to iron out lots and lots of small issues with this new portal, and we chose to use a set of new practitioners for that instead of which are already first and have a portal that's working. So we didn't want to hastily push you into something that wasn't working, which we will be doing in the beginning of November, but then it will be working. So that's the idea.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other questions? Nope. Then I'll briefly touch on a thing that we have developed and have created that has had some requests and also questions from the practitioner community that I want to address. That have to do with the way that we are working and implementing with the new report layout and the questionnaire layout. So I'll share my screen again. So what the application that you're just looking at, this is the backend application, and you briefly saw me fill in the questions in a new interface. And that's also the new interface that Kantor is already using. So if a participant in the Kantor questionnaire uses the Kantor questionnaire, he or she uses the more modern way, which is also more mobile friendly to answer the questions. We don't change the data, we don't change the data format, so we're not changing any of the concepts or statistical validity, to be very clear. We're just looking at how to present it. So one of the things that you've probably have already seen is the new way of looking at reports. So I can just show you, in this case, the bigger report, which is one of our internal clients. And that will be web views. So these web views are loaded in the browser, and that delivers a bit of extra functionality that's not yet implemented in the Kantor portal, but will be in the future, which is that you have explanatory mouse overs, for instance. So we can use the interactiveness of the report, and in the future also have people interact with, for instance, their their operating system or their action propensities in the report, to be more to present the data in a more meaningful way. Of course, you can always download the report with the generate PDF button, but this is actually a mini website that is the report. So that's what we've been creating, and we've also been using this for Kantor. So now we have a backward compatibility issue that I just wanted to explain. So if I use the download profile, this is Marvin, one of our employees. I'm not showing any data that's private. And I download the profile. The portal downloads this profile on the old-fashioned way, and it looks the way it used to look. So that's the and it's slow, as you can see. And it will be downloading. It's still downloading. Yep, there it is. And this is the PDF of the baseline that you're familiar with. Now, the version that participants see, to refresh this, is a bit different. All the data is exactly the same, but we've noticed that it has caused for some unclarity, and participants actually see downloads. See another version, and that is the project overview. And I can show it here. So when you download the data of all the participants in the download survey overview, you get an Excel document or a CSV that you can open. And it's opening now. And in it there are a couple of URLs, and in this case this is the report URL, and if I open it you will see that it looks more modern, and this is what your participants will see if you use the download functionality. I cannot stress enough, this is exactly the same data. We have not changed anything in the data model or the way we interpret data or use the algorithms, but we've moved it to a more user-friendly view, and it's web-based, and this will in the future give us the opportunities to make these things interactive, and of course you can generate a PDF. But this looks different than the PDF that you're familiar with, and I think we didn't properly enough inform you about this. So be aware that the new portal is already, the new reports are already in the portal, and you can choose to either use the old one and not send everybody their results through the website. And if you use this one and you want to use it yourself, you can use the export functionality in the portal or the new portal later on, where this will be made easier to download the reports. So it's a step forward. However, it has caused for some unclarity with certain practitioners that have reached out. So that's why I wanted to stress the backward compatibility. As you see, the portal's technology is already moving towards new platforms, and we try to maintain as much backwards compatibility, but in the future we will lose the old report because we don't think that looks that nice and modern, and it doesn't incorporate even the look and feel of the Kantor Institute that was created 2 years ago. So that's why we're changing it, and by going through a web and then download version, it'll leave for more room for interesting interactivity, and people can also read this on a mobile phone, for instance. So that's an important thing to be aware of if you're using the portal right now, that this is already, your participants will look at this report and not at the report that you can download yourself through the download profile button. So if you use the download profile button, you get the old one. If you email the profile, he or she will get the new one. Is that clear? Are there any questions on this? Or remarks?
I'm just slightly confused. Let me say what I think you're saying. So if you use the old version, you get the old report. If you email the participant gets the new report.
Yes.
I'm clear how we can see the new report format.
Okay. You can see the new report format by downloading. I'll share my screen briefly again. So thanks for this question, Scott, because we were aware after some consultations that this had been clear. If you use the download survey overview, this will generate a file, an Excel file. And in this Excel file, for every participant that has completed the instrument, the link to the new report URL is in there.
Thank you. I understand now.
If you click on the link, you also see the new report. The usability hassle there is that you have to fill out the first name and last name. So that's something that you will need to do because there's still some security that these links are not just internet reachable and usable, because we want to have some extra layer of security here. You have to fill out the name, and when you've done that, you're good to go, and you can also generate a PDF, download it, and that will look like the new report and not like the old report, because the new PDF generator creates a PDF based on the new look and feel.
Excellent. I understand now, and I think I also understand this is kind of an interim until the port was completely moved over to the new.
Yeah, and we thought we had touched on this the last time, and we did it thoroughly enough, and that's why I thank you for restating. So how do I do this? Because we've had some support requests based on I see a different report than my participant sees. What's going on? Is the data all right? Are we looking at the same data? Have you messed up things? So there was a bit of uncertainty around data, which was just uncertainty around look and feel, which I completely understand, because if you have a report and your participant has a report that look different, and in the beginning even had a bit of different layout, certain things, I think Jane pointed out a couple of things to us that we've changed. That's just not okay. So that's why I wanted to put some extra emphasis on this feature of the transition phase.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So then we only have just broader questions and interactions and one simple thing. And the simple thing is that because there's a lot of people that want to pay with American Express, and our invoicing has been dodgy at moments. We're moving the invoicing to a platform of Stripe, which is out of Silicon Valley, and they're the current market leader in invoicing and administration of services, digital services. So as of November, we'll be sending out invoices through Stripe. And that will make life easier for all of us, we hope. But you will see a different layout of invoicing. So if that scares you, then know now that it's us. We've changed it. There's no Nigerians trying to scam you into anything. It's just us. So we've changed the invoicing, looks different, but everything else is still US dollar based, and it now is easier for international settlements, and so that's just an improvement as well. It still involves a little bit of manual work, so there's no direct invoicing, but this new Stripe portal also allows us to connect the portal digitally to the payment solution providing, so that we actually have no manual interference again, because manual interference means making mistakes, which we do, and we want to bring that those mistakes down, because it's hassle for all of us to keep on correcting invoices and having conversations about that. and we want to stop that, and that's why we're automating it somewhere in the course of this autumn, but we're already moving towards the new platform. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. And then that was our sort of things to say, and I was just anxious to hear if there's any, in the broadest way, questions from you, now that we're in the call anyway. Everybody's muted, so you can unmute yourself if you want to speak. You can also unmute yourself if you don't want to speak and say this is okay, this was it.
Just to save you from the horrible silence. Perfect for me. Thank you very much.
Thank
Right.
you.
This was great as well for me.
Good.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day.
So everybody else, have a great day.
Thank you for participating, and look forward to hearing your feedback. And until we next talk, if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to us directly. Or if you have a support question, please do use the support button.
Yes. Thank you.
I just appreciate
Thank you.
the on.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.